Hello. In this presentation, I will be discussing how electoral systems influence two political parties, Muda in Malaysia and Sensito in Japan. The type of electoral systems being practiced in each country matters as it determines how the votes a candidate or a party gets are converted into seats. This affects not only who wins an election, but also how political parties campaign and how voters think before they make their decisions. Some systems like the first past the post system or FPTP practiced in a lot of countries, including Malaysia, rewards parties or candidates with concentrated support, while others, such as mixed electoral systems in countries like Japan, provides opportunity to be represented without having to win the majority. This is why two parties with similar levels or similar profiles of support can end up with completely different results. As I mentioned, Malaysia uses FPTP electoral system, which means in every constituency, only the candidate or the party with the highest votes, the majority votes, will win the specific seat. For example, if we say that for the state of Penang, the party PH won the majority votes over any other candidates, which means the seat will go to PH. But this also means that if even if a candidate or a party has won votes nationwide, their votes will not matter. For example, let's say Muda got votes from both Penang and Selangor, and however, they will not get any seats, nor will these votes be represented in any way. Therefore, smaller or newer parties, for these kind of smaller or newer parties, this creates a major disadvantage. And this is exactly what happened in the case of Muda in 2023 elections. Muda is a youth-centric party, therefore they appealed largely to the younger voters and had supporters spread throughout Malaysia. However, their support was, however, to strengthen this position, Muda proposed a coalition with PH, which unfortunately got rejected by them. And this led Muda to decide to run for the 2023 state elections independently, and they contested for 19 seats in this election. However, as their support was greatly scattered in the country, they did not get majority votes for any of the seats they ran for. I believe that strategic voting of the supporters also may have contributed to the loss of Muda. The FPTP system also changes voters' behavior or the way they think, even if some voters who supports Muda, they may think that this party might not win due to its small size and have a weaker position during the election. So as to not waste their votes, they may opt to vote for bigger parties or a party with a coalition, so that their votes will not get wasted. I feel this may have further contributed to the loss of votes from Muda supporters and further led to their failure. On the other hand, Japan uses a mixed electoral system where 148 seats are decided through district elections, a plurality system. However, the remaining 100 seats are allocated through proportional representation. This means parties can win seats based on the proportion of the total national votes they get, and so they do not necessarily have the need to win the majority of individual districts to be represented. This gives newer or smaller parties higher chances of winning a seat. In the 2022 House elections, Senator got nationwide support for their campaign against COVID-19 restrictions and vaccine mandates. And much like Murda, their support was not concentrated in one area and was spread across the country. Therefore, they did not get enough votes to win a seat. But unlike Murda, due to the PR system in place, they were able to win their first seat with the nationwide votes they got. And unlike Murda, due to the electoral system, Sensato, I believe, did not have the need to form coalitions because the votes they got initially in the 2022 elections, even though they were not much, they still got translated and represented. After this, Sensito shifted its ideology from COVID-related issues and vaccine mandates to Japanese first ideology, which is centered around anti-immigration and national identity. This shift helped the party, I believe, to gain more supporters, and at the 2025 election, they won a total of 14 seats, becoming the fifth largest party by vote share that year. In conclusion, these two cases demonstrates that electoral systems play a significant role in determining the success or the failure of newer political parties or smaller political parties. Although Muda and Senseto have very different ideologies, they do have somewhat of a similar profile. Yet the way the votes they got um, were translated into seats in very different ways due to the electoral systems in place in their respective countries. In Malaysia, through FPTP, despite Murda having support for their great ideas on prioritizing youth and their issues and concerns, they failed to secure a seat in the election. On the other hand, Japan's PR system allowed senators dispersed nationwide support, the same kind of support, to secure a seat for them. Uh, from these two cases, we can see that electoral systems influence not only election outcomes but also the behavior of both party and voters. I also believe that PR systems provide fair opportunities for newer and smaller parties. However, it also tells us that in cases such as Sensito, that this system can benefit parties with controversial or exclusionary ideologies. Overall, these examples show that electoral systems do not simply reflect public opinion, they determine which opinions are ultimately represented in governments or which voices gain political power. Thank you.